This is Dr. Lou Cella, sport and performance psychologist. And whether you're coaching 11-man, 8-man, 9-man football, Canadian football, this is the most important lesson I ever learned, about coaching offensive line. So this translates to your under center triple option offense, your flexbone. This translates, and it'll translate to pretty much any offense. Okay, so about 18 years ago, I met world-famous offensive line coach Jim Mcnally at the Woodlands Inn and Resort here in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, about 20 minutes from where I'm at right now. And he and a bunch of his offensive line coaching friends would have get-togethers every year, and they would sit and they would talk about offensive line play. They would invite some other coaches there too, and they would just talk about football. They would do it in June when there was nothing ongoing, and it was a getaway. So I got a chance to meet him at the Woodlands, and we became really good friends, and he invited me to training camp. So it was 2006, and he just became offensive line coach of the Buffalo Bills, which was his hometown team. So he becomes O-line coach of the Bills, he and Larry Zerline. And he invites me to training camp. So I go the first 2 days of training camp. Back then you could have back-to-back double sessions. So there were 4 practices in 2 days. I wanted to go for the first, 4 practices. So he let me stand right next to him. So when they would practice, they would practice at St. John Fisher College. They'd be in the end zone of the game field. And he would have me stand right next to him and Larry. Now this is 2006. So what am I, 28 years old. I had been coaching the triple option offense for almost 10 years at that point. And I stood next to him. And for 4 straight practices, all he and Larry did was block all the different concepts that they were running. So they would block inside zone, outside zone, all the tags that came off inside zone and outside zone for 4 straight practices. He'd have one offense go, and then he'd have another offense go. He'd have whoever was left be the look team. They would go. I mean, it was full speed with their feet. With their hands, they would strike. But obviously, nobody was going to the ground. And that's all he did for 4 practices during his individual time. He blocked fronts. So he comes over to me, I think it was the 3rd session or the 4th session. He comes over to me and he goes, "Now, do you understand what we're doing here?" I go, "Well, I can see you're blocking fronts." He goes, "Yeah, but do you understand why we're doing nothing but blocking fronts?" I go, tell me why, Mouse. Tell me why." And he goes, "Here's the deal, Lou, and I want you to learn this as an offensive line coach. If my players don't know where to go, I get fired. If my players know where to go, but they can't physically do it, the GM gets fired because he picked them and they're not good enough." And that was a very important lesson that I learned, and it stuck with me to this moment and will beyond this moment. If your players don't know where to go, it's an absolute waste of time. And I'm going to tell you something. Right around that time, the man who led me to Lord Jesus Christ, his name was Reverend Jerry Easton. I got saved July of 2005. Jerry Easton, I'll never forget this. I was on the phone with him, and I was going on a walk around Francis Slocum State Park, which is about 10 minutes from my house in Dallas, Pennsylvania. I'm actually going on a walk right now. And Jerry Easton told me this. He coached for 40 years. He coached in Florida. He coached in South Carolina. He was amazing. He was a triple option football coach. I got saved by his triple option football coach. But anyway, Jerry Easton told me the most important thing about offensive line coaching is not how to block, but who to block. And he goes, the problem with young coaches want to talk about technique because it makes them feel smart. But he goes, the experienced coaches, the guys who get it done, make sure their players know how to get from point A to point B. They're focused on who to block. Because he goes, what good is it if you know how to reach block, but you don't know where to go to reach block? And that stuck with me these last several decades. So I encourage you today, as a coach, as the head high school football coach, make sure your players know where to go. Don't worry about the technique. Kids self-automate. Andy Reid said it best. Players want to know where to align, where to go, and then they want 1 to 3 things. They need to know how to do their job better, and then they want you to shut up and let them do it. Focus on getting your players from point A to point B, and thank me later. I'm giving back to you the knowledge I received in the mid-2000s that helped me create a great business called the Triple Option Football Academy, because that's my focus, is getting my clients to get their players to know where to go, because knowledge truly is power. And when your players know where to go on zone dive, mid, triple, trap, and toss, you'll change the game. Now, if you're interested in becoming a client today, pick up the phone, give me a call right now. My number's on the thumbnail of this video, so is my website. The Triple Option Football Academy, Triple Option Football Academy camps are going to show you how. Go to tripleoptionfootball.com/testimonials, where you can see all of the success stories that have come from the camps in the academy. I'll see you later.